Good morning, my friends. April here with MedWell Health and Wellness, and I am so very excited because we are starting another series of MedWell Unscripted. In this series, we're going to be talking about the changing world around medical marijuana and working with seniors and seniors, aka boomers, right? And in this series, we're going to talk to experts in the field. We're going to talk to doctors, like we're going to be talking to Dr. Rothman today. We're going to be talking with different leaders in the industry that have worked with boomers to answer all of your questions. You should see our lineup coming up, my friends. You are going to be floored. So just some housekeeping before we get started. This is live streaming to multiple platforms. And as with any live stream technology, hiccups happen. So if for some reason we freeze for a second, be patient with us. If one of us drops out, we will promise we will come back in. And really our goal today is to share with you lots of great information. I also want to start with, we're really excited at MedWell Health and Wellness. We've recently partnered with DocMJ, which is an amazing national brand. They service patients in Florida, which actually helps expand our Medwell reach, which is amazing. Texas, Georgia, Massachusetts, and coming soon into Pennsylvania. So, Ohio, I can't forget Ohio as well. So we're really excited about that. Today, I also have my partner in crime, Emily Waxman, and Emily has taken on some new roles as Medwell and DocMJ have partnered. So she's going to be reaching out more in the community in Florida, which we're excited about. And last, but certainly not least, our star of the hour is Dr. Jack Rothman, who is with DocMJ, and he's going to be talking with us about the most frequently asked questions of seniors in medical cannabis industry. So good morning, guys. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning.
Awesome. So before we get started, I would love, Emily, let's talk about your new role and kind of where you are reaching out in Florida and across the country. What are you up to?
Oh, I am a busy lady, and it has been an absolute pleasure as well as an honor to now be partnering with DocMJ, with their phenomenal team of folks that they have. It's really just such a heartwarming feeling to know that you've brought two companies with the same goals in mind, and that is always the patient and their needs and making it the best possible experience for them, providing them the best education so that they can start their cannabis journey and start off with the right foot, so that we make sure that we get them the appropriate medication from the get-go. We want everyone having the best possible experience from the time that they come into our offices till the time that they leave to go into the dispensary. So you'll find me hopping around from dispensary to dispensary and helping with getting that education out there. I'll be planning lots of fun events. I'm going to make sure that I stop in to say hello to my Florida friends, not only at DocMJ, but certainly at the dispensaries that we're partnering up with there. So we've got lots of exciting stuff happening. And again, it's just an absolute pleasure and honor to be working with this amazing team that DocMJ has.
I agree. Friends, please feel free to leave a comment. Also, if you are catching the replay, just as a reminder, leave a comment and we'll sure to get back to you. Now, I would like to introduce to you Dr. Jack Rothman with DocMJ. Welcome, Dr. Rothman. How are you today?
Good morning. Doing very well.
Good. So we're so glad you're here. You know, I think it's a really important topic that we're talking about in this series, because I know that medicinal cannabis, especially with boomers, there's always still the stigma around cannabis. And I think one of the goals of this series is really to answer questions of that kind of over 65 audience, and know that there's lots of ways that you can use the plant to help you in your wellness program. So let's start. Just tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of how you came to be with DocMJ, because I know I've spoken to many on the DocMJ team, and they say great things about you, and I love to hear your experience.
All right. Well, I'll start from the beginning. I was born in Brooklyn, raised on Long Island, went to school upstate New York. I've been doing gynecology up until retiring 8 years ago, or about then. I did nothing for about 3 months, and my wife put me to work. So I went to the disability, federal disability office, and I was a disability specialist, which turns out to be very beneficial for what I'm doing now, because I relearned all of the pathology and the terminologies, plus the reasons for disability. The diseases, the illnesses are very similar to what medical cannabis treats. So it was sort of the perfect precursor to what I'm doing now. And I've been doing this for 6 years, since October of 2016.
And so I know there's many offices throughout Florida in particular. What office do you typically work out of?
Well, I was a bit of a rover for a while, and I would go where needed. I once spent 2 solid weeks, like in Panama City. I live in Clearwater, so I did 12 straight days in Panama City. And the ride's very nice, but it's a 7-hour ride. But now I'm in Newport Richey, Clearwater, mainly.
Okay, great.
As I'm getting older, I'm traveling less.
Understood. So let's talk, I think one of the things I'd like to start with is patient care is so important, right? Like that initial, when a patient walks through the door, and kind of, I would love for you to just share about kind of what a patient could expect when they come into DocMJ, and kind of that patient experience, especially for the first time, not understanding necessarily how to obtain your medicinal cannabis card, and also just like, especially from a senior perspective. I think about, I'll use my father as an example. He, grew up in a generation that was a lot different than today's generation, and how kind of we talk about cannabis. So can you tell us a little bit about that patient experience?
Well, the baby boomer generation is not just one type of person.
Right.
Let's go to the extremes. Okay. When a patient comes in, she may be grandma. She'll come in. She's never tried marijuana, that stuff, weed, whatever. She is anxious. She has aches and pains. She does not want to be loopy. Okay. So here's a patient that I'm going to treat mainly with CBD with a tinge of THC. And I'll treat with or recommend topicals for her as well. And I'll recommend other cannabinoids than CBD, such as CBN, that are helpful for sleep. All right, so that's the one spectrum of the naive patient. Then there's Vietnam vet, and he's been smoking every day for 40 plus years to forget what he's seen and done. He's got PTSD. He doesn't need me except to get a card. He doesn't need my advice. Unless he's dealing with tolerance, and then we can talk about that. But he's probably more experienced than I am. Well, he is more experienced than I am, but he's very knowledgeable about what he's doing. And I'm just going to make the arrangements for him and stay out of his way. So I think today who we want to talk about is the new patient. Okay. So I've talked a lot already.
No, not at all. Don't worry, I can out-talk you. No worries.
Okay. So a new patient comes in. The first thing I do, they come in with records, and all the administrative stuff is done, and the hellos and all that. I assess how much the patient knows about medical cannabis and marijuana. Questions like, do you know the difference between CBD and THC? If it's yes, then indica sativa, we talk about that. Then we'll talk about, usually it takes 1 or 2 seconds to qualify the patient based on a condition, if I've got the records. And then we'll talk about possible treatments and options. We'll talk about the dispensary experience, which I'm happy to talk about. And there's just a lot to talk about, and very little time. Yeah.
Well, and I do want to just mention to our friends tuning in is that every state has different qualifying conditions, and Dr. Rothman is in Florida. So he's talking, like, if he mentions qualifying conditions today, they vary state to state. The process is a little bit different. The card certification is a little bit different as well. Yes.
All right. We haven't planned this, so I'm not going to use that, but there is a whole list of, the AV squad didn't show up today. What can I say? We had
So-
AV squads in my day.
So let's talk a little bit about kind of the common health issues that you see boomers coming in. And again, I know this is Florida, so it varies state to state, but talk a little bit about kind of the different things that people come in wanting to treat with medicinal cannabis.
Well, boomers by definition have been around for a while and have been exposed to traumatic experience, some of which has led to post-traumatic stress disorder. That's very, very common. Most of your 9/11 people, many of your military people, just about everyone has had experiences that scar them. So that's very common. I'm sorry. Oh, okay. Related, my daughter's prompting me. She's saying arthritis, and so disc disease and arthritis are very big, and special attention should be made to consider topicals for that. There is, I'm going to name a name. Okay, there's a dispensary called Move, MUV. Shout out to them because they have the best patch in the industry in Florida. It's a gel patch. It lasts 72 hours. They give you a choice of CBD 1-to-1 or THC. And it's very, I'm sorry, I'm digressing, but that's a product that is very popular and very helpful.
Those patches are great. They're hard to find here in Massachusetts, so it's really fantastic to know that there's a place in Florida that sells them. And the fact that you mentioned that particular one is great because I think those topicals are just lifesavers for a lot of us. So
I actually looked it up because there were people from other states and I wanted to see if they could obtain it.
Mm-hmm.
But no, Move has 30 dispensaries in Florida and for some reason one in Arizona. And I don't know how you can get it other than through those dispensaries.
Right.
That's
right.
Okay.
So yeah, and I think you must see. Assuming you might see some cancer patients that come in and that are looking for some support.
Yeah.
As well.
Oh, I mean, we could do a year's worth of talks on this, but yes, there are people that are coming because they have cancer, and the two main reasons they come. Well, the three main reasons they come. One is to deal with the effects of the cancer in terms of pain and nausea. Second is to deal with the effects of the treatments of cancer, the radiation, the chemotherapy. And the third, and very interesting, is considering medical marijuana to be a cure or a treatment for the cancer itself. There is very good evidence that marijuana, that the marijuana plant can treat and reduce cancer as well as prevent it.
So would you mind sharing kind of some of the biggest benefits of medicinal cannabis and how it can complement a wellness plan? So we just mentioned cancer patient, then there's arthritis, there's all of these different things that happen when we age. So how would it complement, and kind of what are your recommendations? Because I always think, there's kind of a line between pharmaceuticals and natural like medicinal cannabis. So what are your recommendations, or what are the biggest benefits seniors can get in complementing their wellness?
Well, my go-to for wellness is CBD, but it's not just CBD. There are 200 cannabinoids, things in the plant, one of which is psychoactive. It's THC. But the hemp plant is unique in that it has the other 199 cannabinoids in it. So if we took the hemp and we use that would be a nice way to start one's day, a full spectrum CBD. There's a product called Rick Simpson oil. Rick Simpson is a big deal.
It is a big deal. It's sometimes hard to get your hands on.
Rick Simpson figured out a way to take the marijuana plant, convert it into something edible, he puts it in a syringe to make it easy to distribute. The value of Rick Simpson oil is everything that God puts in the plant is preserved in Rick Simpson oil by virtue of his process. It doesn't matter what the process is, but the end result is a full spectrum product. And you need to sort of take it on faith that full spectrum is where you want to be in medical cannabis. And so there's a very good product. So you should get CBD as full a spectrum as you can. Let me just say, in the state of Florida, it's tough to get good CBD. Your CBD stores that say CBD are unregulated, and the closest you'll get to CBD is the sign. 80% of it is bogus. The dispensaries have real CBD, good CBD, just not enough. If you know a source, that's fine. DocMJ has a line of CBD, some of which is broad spectrum. Some people go out of state and get it there. But that to me is the start of good treatment. And if you're a grandma and you don't want to get woozy, you can add THC. And there are various ways to do that. For instance, there are ratio products, some CBD, some THC. I'll shout out to Certera. They have the nicest ratio products and non-smoke, non-vape products of the dispensaries. So I will shout out for a newbie that Certera may be a place to consider. I'll stop and take a breath now.
I think one of the things is, as we're talking through kind of products and things like that, what are the common questions you see from boomers coming in for the first time, or what kind of questions would you recommend that if I were a new patient coming in, what would I ask? What are good questions for people to ask so they start to feel comfortable and have a better understanding of the process, not only of getting certified, but also the next steps of going to a dispensary?
Well, I like the patient who asks questions. That means that patient is not set in his or her ways. Sure. And in a way that's good, because then we can talk and I can discuss CBD. It's tough to discuss CBD with the Vietnam vet, but grandma is happy to discuss a CBD product as long as it doesn't taste too bad. And there are ways to make it taste good. There are capsules. There's all sorts of things. The patient's going to say, how can I benefit from medical cannabis? How can you treat my conditions? So it depends on the conditions. I'd like the patient to be as knowledgeable as possible, but that usually is not always the case, in which I go very easy and very slow. And before I forget, the dispensary experience, when anyone goes into a dispensary, especially a new patient, and you're online and you get to the front of the line, how can we help you? Are you here to pick up or whatever? The best answer is to say, I would like a consultation. Okay. That is a code in all of the dispensaries for those people to find a knowledgeable person, to sit down with that person and discuss whatever it is that person wants to discuss. If it's a new patient, they'll go through the whole thing. And that's what you need to do. The dispensaries sometimes get busy, but they'll always try to make accommodation if you tell them that you need that help. All right, I had to get that out because I think that's an important thing for a newbie or granny to know.
So if what are your recommendations, just even finding a doctor for certification? So kind of do you have any recommendations? So if I talk to my primary physician and we're talking about getting my med card or I'm searching online, do you have any recommendations of what boomers and just patients in general should be looking for in terms of certifications, experience?
Well, if it says DocMJ, they're not going to go wrong. I don't know.
For sure.
There are other companies, some of which try to mimic us. You go to a DocMJ, medical marijuana specialist.
Okay. Yep. No, that's good. That's good. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
no worries. And I get, so I guess I was thinking, so friends, if you're searching online, you want to make sure that they have the right board certifications. I would encourage you to look at reviews, look at their website, look at their social media, make sure that they're a reputable organization, because there is a lot of scam and spam out there. So definitely make sure that you do your due diligence in finding the right doctor for you. So let's talk a little bit about dosing. I think one of the things is when you look at like a medicinal cannabis menu at a dispensary, it's very confusing. Like there's, 85% THC, there's CBD, they talk about cannabinoids, they talk about all these things. How, when you're talking with a patient, do you kind of tell them and share kind of what they should look for in dosing, as they leave the visit and you're sending them to go get their medicinal cannabis? What are kind of some recommendations for dosing?
First thing you need to know is that everyone's endocannabinoid system is different. So what you need for your relief, even if you have the same diagnosis as me, is different, both in amount and possibly the type. Most people, if you give them an indica product, will relax and go to sleep. If you give them a sativa, they'll want to name the 50 states in alphabetical order, mow the lawn, and get tickets for the concert. So that kind of indica and sativa, so I lost my track. Get me
No,
back.
that's what we were talking. No, we were talking about dosing and kind of just your recommendations of.
Yes, so it's hard to recommend. I recommend a good dispensary. I recommend starting low and going slow. That's a mantra of DocMJ: start low and go slow. Even with CBD, take a little bit at first just to make sure that it's not causing a problem. And then there are various dispensaries with various products. Don't think that they're all the same. Okay, one is Aldi and one is Publix. You can get some different products and unique products. And there are some unique products, and maybe we'll get into that later.
Well,
I'm so sorry.
Routes of administration. Let's just go over that. Can we do that?
Okay. Yeah, of course.
So you start with the plant. Okay, so what can you do with the plant? 3 things. You can smoke it, you can vape it, and it's better to vape it sometimes because you can use less temperature and you're not destroying as much, and perhaps vaping is less unhealthy than smoking. You can also cook with the flower. Now, from the flower, they make oils and they make concentrates that you can either vape or add to topicals. They have topicals that you can use, including the patch. There's 10 ways to consume the product orally, and we can go through that if you want. But, the drops and the powder and the gummies and all that kind of stuff. So those are the routes. So little old lady does not have to, I'm sorry, Granny, does not have to smoke or vape. Okay.
I have read that edibles are kind of a preferred boomer method of taking medicinal cannabis, which and that's on the rise in more recent years.
And I'm sure that's true. And unfortunately, in Florida, the gummy products are not up to the snuff of other states and other experiences, and perhaps it'll catch up. But there are 10 ways. Gummy is not the only thing. There's that Rick Simpson oil I talked about that people use to get to sleep, as well as the morning hemp.
One thing I was just going to touch upon too, Doctor, that I'm sure you'll agree, for anyone that's even thinking about getting their medicinal cannabis certification, I just a huge round of applause to anyone thinking about it or that, physically comes in, because one thing about cannabis is that it's very empowering to be able to take, your health into your own hands and learn how to be able to get that medication for yourself and figure out something that is going to work for you, and going through that journey. And like I mentioned, it's a very empowering process. It definitely is different than what most of us are used to, because many of us just go to our doctor. They say, take 2 each day and, call me in a week or 2, let me know. This is definitely different. So, it's a phenomenal way to get some relief for yourself. Do it in a natural way with a plant that, has so many phenomenal benefits for you. So for any of you who are just thinking about it, again, it's a very empowering thing that you can do for yourself. It's truly a gift that you can give yourself to look into this, see if this is something for you. And with going to a doctor such as Dr. Rothman, you really can't go wrong. So I just wanted to make sure I mentioned that, because I think some of this can sound a little bit overwhelming for any of our new folks out there that are thinking about it and haven't gone ahead with it yet. But certainly, I think you'll find it will be a very positive experience to be able to do this for yourself.
Agreed.
Emily, beautifully said.
Yeah, great point. Great point. So kind of just some closing thoughts. So first of all, Dr. Rothman, I want you to know that you have fans here in the chat that are in love with you today. So many fans that you're well informed and that you're a rock star. But we knew that. That's why we have you here today, right? Just wanted to let you know that. And let's talk a little bit about some closing thoughts. So why should boomers consider a medical cannabis card, and kind of, and then like when let's start there. Why should a senior or boomer consider a medicinal cannabis card?
Number one, to be legal. That may not be number one anymore. I don't know. But number two, to have access to the various products of medicinal cannabis, including ratio products and the CBDs and the topicals, and the whole gamut of the orals and the edibles, as well as the flower. The flower is a full spectrum product. Okay. The only problem is you got to smoke it, but you don't, because you can vape it and you can do it orally. Sure. And there's less damage to organs when you take it orally. And when you take cannabis instead of pharmaceuticals, there's a good chance that you're doing less damage to your liver and your kidneys, etc. Certainly, if you need if you need pharmaceuticals, you should, take pharmaceuticals as prescribed by your physician.
Right.
I would hope that your physician would be medically sensitive. Cannabis sensitive and cannabis supportive. But that's up to you and your physician. And okay.
No, well, and you know what I think it's important, friends, to know is that whatever age that you are, that when you are thinking about medicinal cannabis for your wellness, is that there's a friendly face on the other side that's going to help you and support you and walk you through the process. So from the moment that you talk to a team member on the phone, to meeting with a doctor such as Dr. Rothman, and we love Dr. Rothman, but we have also many great doctors within our team, and that they can answer any questions. The other thing too is that if you're not ready to schedule your appointment, pick up the phone and call us. Send us a message, send an email, because we're happy to answer your questions, because really our goal is to make sure you're as educated as possible in making the decision that's good for your healthcare. We want you to feel good. We want you to be pain-free. We want you to sleep at night. That's a big one.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yeah. Probably the biggest. Probably the most common. And it's not recognized by the state as a condition for cannabis directly. We have to, make some adjustments.
I would imagine anxiety is a big one too. Anxiety and depression probably come up more frequently as well.
Yes.
Well, Dr. Rothman, thank you so much for your time today and us kind of picking your brain, so to speak, and sharing all those nuggets of information. We really appreciate you. Thanks for Emily. Thank you for your time and your all of your insight and all that you do. I appreciate you. Thanks to our audience for tuning in today. So my friends, I just want to kind of close with this. So before I announce, so we are running this series through June. We are talking again about seniors in cannabis and kind of demystifying the process and asking questions. But I also really want to kind of share, again, what we shared at the top of the hour. MedWell Health and Wellness has partnered with DocMJ, so you'll see that on all of our marketing material, and we're really excited about this joint venture. In the coming weeks and in the coming months, we have lots more to share with you on our live stream and kind of moving forward so we can reach as many people as possible and educating you about how this really can encapsulate your wellness for all the good that it does. So thank you. If you are catching the chat, please absolutely leave a comment. We will sure to get back to you, whether you're on the DocMJ social media, whether you're on MedWell Health and Wellness, we will absolutely get back to you. Next week, it's going to be the same time, same place. We're going to be chatting with Oren Allen, and he has actually this word that he calls organji, right? So he's going to be talking about, which I love this. So the title of our show is going to be The Power of Organji, Educating the Community. And really, what is organji? It's a powerful word that is really about positivity in cannabis and the cannabis community. So we're looking forward to that conversation. Again, Dr. Rothman, thank you so much. Thanks all for tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you guys next week. Have an awesome, awesome day, and we'll see you soon. Take care.
Okay.